Video game movies used to have a reputation, and not a good one. Like, if you heard your favorite game was getting a movie, your first reaction wasn't excitement, it was stress. You were like, okay, how badly are they about to mess this up? But now, things are actually changing. We had some generally good adoptions recently. And studios are finally starting to understand that you can't just slap a game title on a random script and call it a day. Which leads to a very important question. What games deserve their own feature-length movie that somehow still aren't being made yet? And I'm not talking about stuff already announced or sickly filming right now. We're staying clean. Just pure potential. Games that, if handled correctly, could actually be amazing movies. Not just okay for a game adoption, but generally good films. So yeah, let's get into it. We're starting off with something that honestly feels overdue. Red Dead Redemption is one of those stories where you play it and halfway through you realize this isn't just a game anymore, this is a straight up storytelling on another level. Arthur Morgan is such a strong main character because he's not perfect, he's figuring things out way too late, and that's what makes it hit harder. You're watching a man slowly question everything he's believed in, while the world around him is literally falling apart piece by piece. And Dutch would be one of those characters where the audience keeps going back and forth like, okay, maybe he's got a point, and then 5 minutes later, yeah no, this man is absolutely losing it. If they lean into the emotional side instead of just making a cowboy action movie, this could generally be something special. Like the kind of movie where people leave the theater quiet just thinking about it. Now GTA is interesting because this could either be amazing or an absolute disaster. There's no in between. The biggest mistake they could make is trying to be one of the games. Instead, they need to capture the energy of GTA, that chaotic, unpredictable, slightly unhinged world where everything feels like it could go wrong at any second. And usually it does. I'm talking multiple characters with their own messy storylines, situations that spiral completely out of control, and moments where you just sitting there like, how did it even get this bad? But most important part, the humor. GTA without satire just doesn't work. You need the fake ads, the ridiculous background details, the random NPC type behavior that makes the world feel alive and slightly insane. And there has to be that one big scene where a plan goes completely wrong in the worst way possible, like everything that could fail fails. That's when you know they got it right. I don't care what anyone says, Cyberpunk deserves another chance, just in a different format. Because the world of Night City is way too interesting to just leave behind. It's one of those settings that look amazing on the surface, neon lights, futuristic tech, everything looks advanced, but the deeper you look, the worse it gets. It's not really a dream future, it's more like a warning. A movie could focus on someone trying to climb their way up in that world, getting upgrades, gaining power, becoming more important, but at the cost of slowly losing who they are. And that's where it hits, because it stops being about action and starts being about identity. If they lean into what that emotional side like Edge Runners did, yeah, this could be one of those movies that leaves people sitting through the credits in silence. You know the type. This one honestly feels like it was made to be a movie. Titanfall 2 has that perfect balance between fast, exciting action and a story that actually makes you care. Because on paper it sounds simple, a soldier and a giant robot. That's it. But the way their relationship develops over time, that's what makes it work. You go from, okay, this is cool, to wait, I actually care about this, way faster than you expect. The action scenes would be insane. Wall running, smooth movement, huge mech battles, but the real strength is in the emotional moments. And if they include that moment, yeah, nobody's talking in the theater after that, just silence. All the silence. maybe one person coughing, that's it. This one would be wild. Far Cry 3 works so well as a movie because of how simple the setup is. A normal guy gets thrown into a situation he's completely not ready for. At first, you think it's just going to be a survival story. Escape, get out, go home. But that's not what happens. Instead, you slowly watch him change, and not in a good way. That descent into becoming more violent, more comfortable with chaos. That's what makes it interesting. And then there's Weiss. Weiss would absolutely steal the entire movie. Every time he's on screen, you're locked in, unpredictable, intense, slightly terrifying, but also weirdly charismatic. That's the kind of villain people remember. This is the kind of movie that doesn't need to say much to say a lot. The Last Guardian would be more quiet, more emotional, more focused on atmosphere than dialogue. It's basically about trust. A boy and a giant creature who don't understand each other at first, slowly learning to rely on one another, and that relationship carries the entire story. You don't need constant action or big dramatic speeches, just small moments. Helping each other, learning how to communicate, building that bond over time. This would be one of those films where the music and visuals do most of the work, and by the end, yeah, people are definitely getting emotional, even the ones who said they wouldn't. Control would be one of those movies where you're confused, but in a good way. Like the kind of confusion where you're still fully invested. The whole concept is just weird in the best way possible. A government building where reality doesn't follow normal rules anymore. Objects with powers, spaces that change, things that just don't make sense. And instead of explaining everything clearly, the movie should lean into that mystery. Let things feel strange. Let the audience figure out things slowly. It would feel like a mix of psychological thriller and sci-fi, with moments where you're just sitting there like, what is actually happening right now? But in a way that makes you want to keep watching. Like I repeating it 1,000 times already. This is pure anxiety as a movie. Subnautica taps into a very specific fear, being completely alone in a place you don't understand. The ocean is already scary, now imagine being stuck there with no help and things getting more dangerous the deeper you go. That's the whole movie. It starts calm, exploration, survival, figure things out. But then slowly, it gets worse and worse and worse until you reach a point where you're like, yeah, I should not be there or here. And those moments where you see something massive in the distance, yeah, that's the kind of scene that stays in your head after the movie ends. Dishonored has such a strong setup for a movie, it's kind of surprising it hasn't happened yet. You've got a bodyguard who gets betrayed, framed, and left with nothing. Now he's trying to clear his name in a city that's already falling apart. Add in supernatural abilities and suddenly you got a really unique story. What makes it interesting is the tone. It's dark, it's gritty, but it's also very stylish. And the character has choices. Does he stay controlled and precise, or does he give in and become something more violent? That internal conflict could carry the whole film. Plus the setting, plague, steampunk vibes, corrupted power structures, it would look incredible visually. Bioshock as a movie has insane potential. Rapture alone is enough to carry it. An underwater city that is meant to be perfect but completely fell apart. It's beautiful but also unsettling. You feel like something's wrong the second you get there. And the story, if they take their time with it, if they build the atmosphere properly and don't rush anything, that twist is going to hit hard, like people audibly reacting in the theater type of moment. This needs to be slow, immersive, and slightly uncomfortable, not just action. If they get the tone right, this could easily become one of the best adoptions ever. So yeah, those are 10 video games that generally deserve their own movies, and somehow still don't have one officially happening right now, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Because studios are adopting everything these days, but honestly, if they keep improving and actually respect the source material, we could be heading into a time where video games, films are just good. Consistently, which still feels weird to say, but I'm not complaining. Anyway, let me know what I missed, because I already know someone's about to say, bro, how did you not include? And yeah, you're probably right. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!